I was on watch aboard the Harrow, North Atlantic, when we first heard it. Just a faint sound under the fog, nothing you'd worry about on a normal patrol. But it was not normal. It got inside people. Made good sailors drift toward the rails like they were half asleep. We lost one that night. And whatever was in that water was alive, and it wanted us. If you want to know what happened out there and how we made it out, then listen till the end. So before we continue, please make sure to like and subscribe to support the channel and comment down below where you're watching from. Thanks. The story started on a quiet watch. The kind of quiet that made you nervous. I was an ensign on the Harrow back then, fresh stripe, still worried about every checkbox in the standing orders. That night I had the deck under supervision. North Atlantic, winter, somewhere out along a busy shipping lane. Time was around 2 a.m. Fog sat over the water, thick, heavy. The ship pushed through it, slow and steady, but it felt wrong. Horizon gone, stars gone, just gray. The bridge windows showed a white wall with a faint glow from the nav lights. I remember rubbing a sleeve over the glass even though it did nothing. Habit. Air came in cold every time someone cracked the bridge wing door. Wet cold that got into your bones. People talk quieter on nights like that. Even the usual bitching about coffee and watch bills dropped down to a mutter. I stood near the center line, one hand on the back of the con's chair. My other hand rested on the log, thumb holding the page where I had stopped. My job was simple. Keep us on track. Keep us safe. Do it by the book. I kept checking everything. Radar. Clear. AIS. Normal merchant traffic out on the fringes. Engine status. Steady revolutions. Sonar. Nothing reported. We had low lighting on the bridge. Red glow at some consoles. Green screens from radar and nav. It always gave the place a tired look on mid-watch. Half the watch section had that hollow stare that comes after too many nights and not enough sleep. The officer of the deck, Lieutenant Harper, leaned by the chart table. He was one of those guys who never seemed rattled. A few more years in, calm voice. Always straight with me, but you could feel him watching, making sure the new kid did not run us into anything. "Current shipping lanes still clear, Mr. Rourke?" he asked. "Yes, sir," I said. "Closest contact at 25,000 yards, steady bearing, merchant, no risk of collision. Good. Keep us on plan." He went back to his coffee. The mug smelled burnt. Navy coffee always did. I wanted some, but did not want another jittering hand while trying to write the log. Down near the front windows, Seaman Price stood lookout. Young kid. Maybe 19. He wore his floater and craned forward, even though there was nothing to see. Just fog. He still tried. I respected that. "Hell of a night, sir," he called back. "Feels like a horror movie out there." "Cut the crap, Price," the boatswain's mate of the watch grunted. "You are eyes, not a movie critic." "Yes, boats." He grinned anyway. Price never shut up for long. Always joking. Always trying to break the tension. Behind me, the radio watch handled routine traffic. Low murmurs, the crackle of distant ships calling in position reports. Nothing exciting. Nothing that needed me. Under all that, I heard the constant hum of the ship. Engines through the hull. Fans. Electronics. Steady vibration through the deck plates. It felt normal. Safe. We had spent the last few days escorting and monitoring traffic. Same pattern. Patrol, watch, drills, chow, sleep if you could. No one shooting at us. No real storms. Just gray sea and cold air. For the Navy, that counted as easy days. I should have been relaxed. Instead, my brain kept circling the same worry. Do not screw up. Do not miss something. You miss one detail and suddenly there is a buoy on the bow or a collision report with your name on it. So I wrote everything down. Every small thing. Wind, sea state, engine status, radar picture. I checked the chart again. Confirmed our position against GPS and the dead reckoning plot. All lined up. I walked over to the bridge wing door, opened it a crack and stepped outside. The cold hit hard. I took one breath, more out of habit, and then stepped back in. Visibility could not have been more than a few ship lengths. The fog swallowed the bow lights. No stars, no moon. Just a pale glow over white nothing. "Anything from sonar?" I asked the petty officer manning the internal comms. Negative, sir. No reports. I nodded. Went back to the con. My log line for that half hour was simple. 0215. Course steady. Speed steady. Weather unchanged. Traffic normal. My handwriting looked tight. Worried. Price yawned up front. You keep doing that, you're scrubbing scuppers, the bosun said. Yes, boats, Price muttered. The quiet pressed in. We had all the normal sounds, but there was something missing. Took me a minute to realize it. The sea felt wrong. The swells were low, almost gone. The ship rode easier than it should in that area. No real roll. No pitch. Just a gentle up and down. I glanced at the wave data. Low sea state. Nothing dangerous. Still, it felt off. North Atlantic usually had some teeth. That night the ocean lay down. Too calm. The radar picture stayed clean. No squalls, no clutter, no close contacts. Down on Sonar, there were no reports. No whales, no merchant prop noise close in. Just empty water. I remember thinking it was nice for a change. I also remember a small voice in the back of my head that did not like any of it. The ship kept cutting through that flat gray world, and the quiet hung over us, heavy. That is how the night was, before it all went bad. I was going through earlier log entries when it started. Nothing dramatic. No scream, no alarm, just a crackle on the internal line by the comm station. The petty officer on phones turned toward me. Sir, Sonar wants the bridge. My first thought was some routine crap. Maybe they wanted a speed change for a test. I stepped over, took the handset. Bridge, Ensign Rourke. Sonar, Cortez, a tired voice said. Sir, I got something odd on passive. Mila Cortez, second class. Smart. Dry sense of humor. I had seen her handle long watches down there without missing a beat. What kind of odd? I asked. Not sure yet, she said. It is faint. Repeating. Sounds vocal. Does not match merchant screws or anything mechanical I know. The word vocal put a knot in my stomach. Any surface contact in that bearing? I asked. Negative. Nothing on active and nothing reported on radar in that sector. She paused. I can patch a feed up if you want to hear. I looked over at Lieutenant Harper at the chart table. He watched me. One eyebrow slightly raised. Do it, I said into the phone. A moment later, the petty officer switched a line, and a low hiss came through a speaker near the comm station. At first, all I heard was noise. Water. Distant ship hum. Then, under that, something else. A tone. Soft. Thin. It rose and fell slowly, not a clear melody. More like someone humming from far away, through the bulkheads. I leaned closer. The hair on my arm stood up for no good reason. Could be some kind of interference, the officer of the deck said behind me. Calm. Mark it and keep an eye on it, Mr. Rourke. I nodded into the handset. Cortez, log it as an anomaly. Keep recording. Let us know if it changes. Already logging, sir, she said. I will keep listening. We hung up. The sound cut off. The bridge felt even quieter. I wrote a quick note in the log. Unidentified faint acoustic pattern, bearing whatever the hell it had been. Logged by Sonar. Probably some merchant's busted equipment, Price said from up front. Old engines, spooky sounds and all that. Focus on your scan, Price, I said. Yes, sir. I checked the surface radar again. Nothing near that direction. The fog outside pressed on the glass. I walked to the forward windows and stared out anyway, just gray. The minutes crawled by. The fog thickened. You could feel it even from inside. All that wet air pressed up against the ship. I had the sense the world had shrunk down to our hull and a circle of water around it. Everything else could have vanished and we would not know. Feels like it is closing in, one of the lookouts muttered. He caught himself. Sorry, sir. Just do your job, I said, but I felt it too. A little later, the internal line buzzed again. Same petty officer turned. Sonar again, sir. I grabbed it. Bridge. Rourke. Sir, the sound is back, Cortez said. Her voice sounded more focused now. Same bearing. Same pattern. Stronger. It has repeated multiple times. This is not random. Any change on radar or AIS, I said, covering the handset and glancing at the scope. The radar operator shook his head. Nothing, sir. Same picture, negative contacts, I told Cortez. Can you describe it better? She hesitated. It is still faint, but it is structured. Not prop noise, not active sonar. It has range in the same band as vocals. If it were an air, I would call it singing. The word sat in my ear. Singing. Patch it again, I said. A moment later, the speaker hissed. Then I heard it. Clearer this time. Not just a tone. A rise and fall, steps on notes that did not quite match any scale I knew. Too smooth. Too steady. No words. Just sound. Calm. Slow. For a moment, the bridge seemed to fade under it. My brain wanted to follow that sound deeper. I forced myself to look at the radar again. Harper walked over listening. His face did not change, but his eyes narrowed. Could still be some weird interference, he said. It sounded like he was saying it for the crew as much as for himself. We will log it. Mr. Mort, make sure sonar continues to record. Note any changes in bearing or signal strength. Aye, sir. He gave me a look. And do not let this turn into a ghost story on my bridge. Yes, sir. Behind us, one of the lookouts whispered to his buddy. Hear that? Told you sirens were real. Knock it off, the boatswain snapped. You want extra watch standing? The speaker clicked off. The normal hum of the ship came back. I picked up the phone again. Cortez, I said, keep logging. If it repeats or changes, call immediately. Confirm no hull noise issues, no onboard equipment source. Already ruled out our own gear, sir, she said. This is outside. And it is not random. I can see the pattern on the display too. Understood. Keep monitoring. I hung up, wrote more in the log. Second occurrence. Structured. Possible vocal character. No surface contact. I pulled the chart closer, checked our position again. Depth below keel. Nearby seamounts. Wrecks. Restricted zones. There was nothing special about that patch of water, just another cold, deep stretch of the North Atlantic. If this was distress, I said out loud without meaning to. Why no words? Harper glanced at me. What was that, Mr. Rourke? Nothing, sir. Just thinking out loud. I stared at the blank fog beyond the glass. If it is someone in trouble, why singing and not speaking? Why not a clear pattern? I stood there for a moment, hand on the chart table, listening to the regular hum of the ship and the faint echo of that sound in my head. The bridge felt smaller. I could not shake it. The sound sat in the back of my mind. So I decided to go hear it in person. Sir, I said to Harper, request to step down to Sonar and check it out firsthand. He studied me for a second. You leaving the bridge? I will be gone a short time, I said. Petty Officer Jackson can handle reporting while I am down there. I just want to understand what we are dealing with. If this is misidentified, it is on me. He nodded slowly. All right, make it quick. Keep your radio on. I will keep con. Aye, sir. I handed off the log, grabbed my radio, and stepped out. The passageway outside the bridge was dim and quiet. Only a few sailors moved through. Most gave that mid-watch stare. No one talked much. I headed down the ladder wells, hand on the rail, boots ringing on metal. The further I went, the more the air changed. Less fresh, more machine. I could feel the deeper vibration of the hull, the constant shiver of metal against water. Sonar was tucked in with combat systems. I stepped through the hatch and into a small room filled with screens and soft beeps. The light was low. Green and amber glows washed over everything. Cortez sat at one of the consoles, headphones around her neck. Two junior techs worked nearby. Everyone looked tired. Ensign on deck, one of them said automatically. At ease, I muttered. Cortez, show me. She nodded and pointed at a console. Recorded segment first, sir. Then live feed. The room felt cramped. The speakers sat in front of the main screen. The display showed rolling patterns of sound. Most of it was the usual mess. Noise, distant screws. Our own hull. Here, she said. First capture. She hit play. At first, it was what I had heard on the bridge. Faint tone. Rough in the recording. Then she tapped a key and the filter changed. The background noise dropped. The main sound pushed forward. It did not sound distant anymore. It sounded close. The humming quality turned clearer. Human throw range, rising and falling over a set of notes that did not fit any song I knew, but there was order. Rhythm, not random. I felt something in my chest. A slow pull. My shoulders dropped without me thinking about it. Breathing eased. It felt peaceful. Too peaceful. My brain told me this was wrong, even as my muscles relaxed. One of the junior techs stared at the speaker with wide eyes. He did not blink. "Petty officer," Cortez snapped, eyes on the display, not the speaker. He flinched. Sorry, just, it sounds good." That word stuck in my head. Good, there was nothing good about this. "That is the cleaned recording," Cortez said quietly. "Now listen to the live feed." She switched inputs. The sound changed. Stronger. Less filtered, more raw, but still there. Same pattern. Same climb and drop on the tone, louder than before. "It has increased in strength over the last 30 minutes, she said. "Bearing shift is minimal. No Doppler shift consistent with a moving surface vessel. No other associated noise. Nothing on active. I pinged once. Got nothing back that looks solid." "You sure this is not some kind of artifact from our gear?" I asked. "We ran internal checks twice," she said. "If this is on board, it is the strangest fault I have ever seen, and it is too structured." The sound kept going. Slow, calm. The longer it played, the heavier my body felt. Not sleepy. Just willing. Willing to stand there and listen. I looked at the junior tech again. He was staring at the patterns on the screen, but his eyes were glassy. My thoughts started to drift. Standing there, I almost forgot why I'd come down. I had to force my mind back on track. Training came up in my head. Stuff from briefings on unusual acoustic environments, stress, sensory overload. This did not match the usual stuff. It was not just loud, it was doing something else. "My head feels funny," one tech muttered, in a good way. "Shut up and log the levels," Cortez said, sharper than before. I could hear strain in her voice too. She hit a control to drop the volume. It helped a little, but the shape of the sound stayed. It crawled through at a lower level, still clear. My skull almost seemed to buzz. "I do not like this," I said. The words came out flat. "What do you want to do, sir?" Cortez asked. I looked toward the hatch. The sound followed me even there. We could not shut all the speakers on the ship. There would always be some bleed through. And if it moved into the structure, into the metal, I did not know. The medical kit on the bulkhead caught my eye. Small green box. Standard stuff. I stepped over, popped it open, and dug around. Found gauze pads. The kind you tape over cuts. "You hurt?" one tech asked. "No," I said. I tore open 2 packs. Rolled the gauze tight in my fingers and pushed the makeshift plugs into my ears. Deep enough to be uncomfortable. The room muted. The song dulled. Still there, but distant. My chest loosened. The fog in my head cleared a little. "Sir?" Cortez stared at me. "You have any earplugs?" I asked. "In my rack," she said. "Few pairs." "Get them," I said. "Pass them around down here. Anyone on watch wears some. This sound is messing with us." She hesitated, then nodded. "Aye, sir. I will get some for medical too if I can." I looked at the junior tech who had been staring. He still seemed off. "You feel okay?" I asked him. He blinked slowly. "Yeah, sir. Just feels nice. Hard to focus. Take a break," I said. 5 minutes. Get water. Move around." Cortez gave me a look that said she agreed. I stepped out into the passageway. The door shut behind me. I could still hear a faint trace of the sound through my improvised plugs. Through the steel. It tugged. Even muffled, it made me want to turn back into the room and listen again. Stand there. Let it wash over me. I gritted my teeth and made myself walk away. Whatever this was, human voices should not do that. By the time I climbed back up to the bridge, something had changed. It was small stuff at first. The way people moved. Slower. Delayed. I stepped in and watched for a minute. The radar operator took 2 extra seconds to answer a simple question. The helmsman's hands rested lighter on the controls. Not asleep, just soft. The normal crisp tension of a bridge watch had thinned. I could still hear the song. Not directly. More as a low presence, tucked under the hum of the ship. My gauze plugs knocked the edge off, but the sound was everywhere now. It had seeped into the steel. "Anything new?" I asked. Harper looked over. He frowned slightly, maybe at my stuffed ears. "No changes on radar or AIS. Sonar reported increased signal strength, but no contact." "You see anything different down there?" "It is real," I said. "Not your fault. Not ours, anyway. It is structured. It is having an effect on people. I could feel it myself. Someone near the back snorted. Sirens, they whispered. Keep your mind on your console, Harper said. Then to me, quieter, you sure your plugs are necessary, Mr. Rourke? Yes, sir, I said. At least for now. He looked around the bridge. I saw his jaw tighten. Make a note, he said. Watchstanders who feel impaired can request hearing protection, voluntary for the moment. We will keep logging the acoustic event. Aye, sir. I walked toward the front of the bridge. 2 sailors near the ladder to the main deck caught my eye. They moved wrong. Not the usual brisk shuffle. More of a slow drift. Both of them walked in the same direction, blank expressions on their faces. Hey, I called. Where are you going? No answer. They kept moving, hands brushing the bulkhead for balance. Seaman, I snapped sharper, sound off. One of them turned his head a little. His eyes looked dull. Just going out, he mumbled. Want to hear better. That phrase crawled under my skin. You are on watch, I said. Get back to your station. He hesitated, then slowly turned around. The other sailor did the same, but they looked irritated. Not embarrassed, irritated that I had pulled them away from something. I looked at Harper. He had seen it too. Make it mandatory, he said quietly. All topside watchstanders. Hearing protection. Pass the word. The comms petty officer nodded and grabbed the internal phone. His voice went out through the ship, calling for earplugs for topside watches. He sounded slow too. Careful, deliberate speech. I forced myself to keep thinking straight. Check the instruments. Check the logs. Keep moving. Up in navigation, the digital maps flickered once. Thin lines jumped on the display, then settled again. The depth readout stuttered for a heartbeat. Then it went back to normal. Did you see that? I asked the nav tech. Yes, sir, he said. Short glitch. Could be nothing. Run a self-check anyway, I said. Aye. On the overhead, the intercom crackled. A status report from engineering cut in mid-sentence. The voice broke off. Silence. Then the line came back. Say again, engineering, the comms petty officer said. Bridge, engineering, came the reply a few seconds later. Sorry. Interference on the line. Repeating, all systems normal. No casualties. No faults. Interference. That word kept popping up where it should not. I keyed my radio. Sonar, this is the bridge. Status on the signal. Bridge, sonar, Cortez answered. Her voice sounded tight. Signal strength still increasing. Bearing stable. It is very close now, sir. But I still do not see any hard contact. How close? With this amplitude, she said, it should be almost right under us. Or alongside. But nothing reflects on active. Nothing visible on surface. The space between my shoulder blades felt cold. Keep volume as low as you can while still recording, I said. And get everyone down there some kind of hearing protection. Already doing it, sir, she said. I turned to Harper. Sir, this thing is sitting outside the hull somewhere. Close. We still do not know what it is. Before he could answer, I noticed another sailor ease toward the door. Then another. Same drift. Same blank look. Eyes half-lidded, head slightly tilted, as if listening to something far away. Stop, I said, stepping in front of them. They blinked at me. One rubbed his ear. Just wanted to check topside, sir. It sounds clearer there. I gripped the rail hard. Even with gauze in my ears, I could feel the song pushing at me. The idea of stepping out, hearing it without the ship in the way, sounded tempting in a soft, stupid way. I will go topside, I said. You stay on station. Anyone leaving their post without orders will answer to the captain. Clear? Yes, sir, they muttered. I grabbed a few more gauze packets from the bridge first aid kit and stuffed them into my pocket. Then I headed for the ladder again. Every step, the urge to slow down and just listen nipped at me. I ignored it. Whatever this thing was, it wanted us on the main deck. That thought scared me more than anything. At the door to the weather deck, I paused. The ship hummed underneath me. The song pushed in through steel and air. I took a breath, braced myself, and pushed the hatch open. Fog rolled in, cold, wet, thick. The sound swelled. Even with the gauze, it grew clearer. It was waiting out there. Cold air slapped my face as I stepped onto the main deck. The fog hid everything beyond the lifelines. Only the nearest parts of the ship showed. Deck lights glowed in small halos. Beyond that, the world vanished. The song sat in the air, not blasting, just there, clear. It came from the water, somewhere off the beam. It was almost gentle. I could see figures ahead near the rail. 3 of them. One of them was Price. I recognized his stance even in the mist. He had no jacket on, just his coveralls and a floater loose around his shoulders. His hands rested on the lifeline cable. He leaned out over the dark. None of them wore hearing protection. "Price," I yelled. Step back from the rail, no reaction. The song wrapped around my words, soft and steady. I walked faster, boots slipping a little on damp non-skid. The deck felt slick from the moisture. The fog swallowed most of my sound. Up close, I could hear the sailors' voices. They were mumbling, almost whispering, in time with the melody. I could not make out words. "Price," I said again as I got close. "Back away from the edge. Now." He turned his head slowly. His eyes were unfocused, his pupils looked wide. Water beaded on his face. "Sir," he said in a low voice, "you hear it? It sounds better from here." His hands tightened on the rail. He leaned forward a little more. I grabbed his arm. His sleeve felt soaked and cold. "You are going back inside, all of you. Step away from the rail." The other 2 sailors barely glanced at me. They stared down into the water. Faces slack. Their lips moved in time with the song. I could not tell if they were copying it or if it had gotten into their throats. For a second, I made the mistake of looking where they looked. I saw the water below, dark surface. Patches of faint light from the ship, fog drifted over it. At first, there was nothing else. Then I saw a shape, pale, human-sized, floating close to the hull. It did not move with the waves. It just hovered there in the water. It faced the ship. I could not see a clear face, just the sense of a head and shoulders, arms trailing. The song rose from that direction, perfectly synced. My stomach dropped. Every part of my training said body in the water, possible casualty, man overboard drill. Another part of my brain screamed that it was wrong. The shape was too still, too steady. It did not bob or twist. It simply stayed there watching. The song pressed harder in my skull. My grip on Price's arm slackened for a heartbeat. The idea of leaning over the rail and listening closer slid into my mind, slick and easy. I forced my hand to tighten again. "Price," I said, voice rough, "you need to come inside. Now, that is an order." He tried to pull his arm free. Not a hard yank, more of a slow, stubborn tug. "It is fine, sir," he said. "It is just calling. We should answer." I shifted my stance, braced my feet, and tried to drag him back. The lifelines creaked. The deck felt slick as hell. My boots slid an inch. "Back away," I snapped. "Seaman, that is an order." One of the other sailors leaned further over. His weight pushed the cable down. His floater brushed the top line. His toes started to lift. He did not seem to care. I grabbed the back of his collar with my free hand and yanked. He grunted and stumbled back. His eyes stayed glued to the water. His mouth kept moving. The pale shape below did not move. The song kept rising and falling. Price twisted suddenly. My damp glove slid on his sleeve. He turned his torso toward the water, putting more weight over the rail. "Stop," I barked. "Price, stop." He did not. His foot slipped on the wet deck. His center of gravity shifted beyond the rail. I lunged, grabbing for his chest, his floater, anything. My fingers caught the edge of the strap. For half a second, I had him. The strap slipped through my grip. His weight went over the side. He fell. It was not a dramatic drop, just a quick stumble and a flip over the rail. The sound was small. A gasp, a thud, then the wet smack of his body hitting the surface. "Price," I yelled, leaning over. Fog swallowed the splash. Ripples spread out, then vanished in the dark. Training kicked in. I reached for the man overboard alarm by instinct. My hand hit the panel. Nothing happened. The indicator light flickered and went dead. "Bridge, this is Ensign Rourke, main overboard, starboard side," I shouted into my radio. Static, then a chopped-up answer broken by the same interference I had heard before. The song swelled. That long, calm line of sound increased in volume. It rolled up through the hull, through the rail, through my arms. I stared into the fog. No sign of Price. No thrashing, no shout. Just the black water and that pale shape still floating there, unbothered. For one heartbeat, the sound slipped past my gauze and burrowed into something deep in my head. All the stress, all the worry about doing the job right, melted. There was a soft promise in that tone. No more standing watch, no more fear. Just rest in cold water near that shape. My foot shifted closer to the rail. I felt that movement and it scared me more than any horror story I had heard in a smoke pit. I forced myself to step back. One step, then another. Hands shaking. "Get off the rail," I snapped at the other two sailors. "Now, move." They barely obeyed, but the distance helped. I shoved them toward the hatch. The song filled the mist around us. Beneath it, there was nothing. No voice from Price. No splash. Just the steady, inhuman calm of that melody. My radio crackled again, words finally making it through. "Say again, Harrow. Did you report man overboard?" A broken voice came through. I kept my eyes on the water, watching for any sign of movement, and keyed the mic with a hand that would not stop shaking. "Yes," I said. "This is Ensign Rourke. Seaman Price overboard, starboard side. Visibility near zero. Internal alarms not responding. We need full ship response and surge now." The fog carried my words away and gave nothing back but the song. For the first time that night, I understood that something out there wanted us, and it had just taken one of my men. After Price went over, the noise changed. It did not shift to words. It just grew. The tone climbed in pitch and power. I felt it through my boots. The whole hull vibrated in a new way. The deck plates buzzed under my feet. I dragged the two sailors toward the hatch. They moved as if half asleep. Their eyes stayed pointed toward the rail. I had to shove them through the door and dog it behind us. Inside, the sound did not fade. It pushed through steel. The bulkheads hummed. Emergency lights flickered once in the passageway, then steadied. Somebody a level below yelled something I could not make out. I yanked one of the sailors to the side and slammed him against the wall. His face was pale. "Look at me," I said. He stared at my chest. "My face," I snapped. His eyes dragged up, slow. "You hear that?" I asked. "Yes, sir," he whispered. "We have to go to it." "No," I said. I dug into my pocket, pulled out gauze, and started stuffing it into his ears. He squirmed weakly. "I need to listen," he muttered. "You do not understand. It is safe there." "Shut up," I said, packing the gauze deeper. Then I wrapped a bandage around his head to hold it all in place. Crude job, but tight. For a second, he just stared at me. Then something in his gaze cleared. His breath hitched. "What the hell?" he said. Louder now. "Sir, what is going on?" I was topside, and then, "The sound is messing with you," I said. "With all of us. You lost time." He swallowed hard. "I do not remember leaving my rack." "You are going to medical," I said. "Send them to me. We need earplugs and bandages for anyone affected. Stay inside. Do not go near the rail. Understood?" "Yes, sir." His hands shook. He still looked toward the deck above, but the pull was weaker. He forced himself to move down the passage. I did the same to the second sailor. First, no reaction. Then that blink. That sudden awareness. Same fear. In that moment, I knew I was right. The sound wanted in. Anything that blocked it broke the hold. At least a little. The ship shuddered. Not from waves. From something else. The bulkhead beside me rattled. Lights overhead dimmed, then flared. I ran for the nearest ladder and climbed back toward the bridge. On the way, I heard people yelling, doors slamming. A few bodies stumbled forward in the passage, half awake, some in undershirts and socks, pulled from their racks by the sound. "Back to your spaces," I barked. "If you can hear me, get earplugs. Stuff something in your ears, now." A few listened. Others kept walking, faces blank, heading toward the nearest way out. The song tugged on them like a tide. I could not help them all. I picked the ones closest. Grabbed ears, shoved gauze and foam in, wrapped a quick bandage or told them to hold it in themselves. Every time, the same thing. Lost eyes, then sudden fear. They all said the same sort of thing. They had just wanted to get closer. They wanted to hear better. On the bridge, chaos had arrived. I stepped in and saw broken glass everywhere. The main windows had spider cracks across them. The ship shuddered again. The glass finally gave. It did not explode in a big, dramatic way. It just failed. Sections fell inward in a rain of shards. Officers and watchstanders yelled. Some went down, hands up to shield their faces. A few screams cut through the ship's hum as sharp glass tore skin. Blood hit the deck. The red ran in small streams between the non-skid and the metal trim. The song rose over it all. A long, drawn-out note. It made my teeth hurt. "Get away from the windows," Harper shouted. His voice was strained now. He had a cut on his cheek. Blood ran down into his collar. He held one arm over his eyes while giving orders. The helm station was a mess of glass and rain. The fog poured in through the broken front panes. "Medical team to the bridge," someone yelled into the intercom. The call crackled, broke, resumed. "Repeat, medical to bridge." Multiple injuries. The radar screen flickered. Lines jumped and glitched. The nav display stuttered again. "GPS just dropped for a second," the nav tech called. "Back now." "But that should not happen. Check back up," Harper said. "Cross with inertial. Keep us on our track." "Aye, sir." I stepped in beside the officer of the deck. My ears rang from the song even with the gauze. "Sir, we are losing people to this thing," I said. "It is pulling them to the rails." I lost Price over the side. His jaw tightened. "Damn it," he said under his breath. Then, louder, "Did you see him go in?" "Yes, sir." No thrashing. No sign after. Visibility 0. Internal alarms are glitching. Radio had interference. He nodded once. The grief was there, but he shoved it aside. "We will log him missing, presumed overboard. Right now, we keep the rest of the crew alive." "Any ideas?" "Ear protection breaks it," I said. "At least somewhat." The sailors I blocked out snapped out of it. "We need to get everyone we can plugged up." "Do it," he said. "I will report to the captain. We need a decision on movement. We cannot sit here if this thing is tearing up our systems." He grabbed the sound-powered phone, talking low and fast to combat in the captain's cabin. Around us, more sailors drifted toward the open windows. Not many, just a few. Enough to make my skin crawl. "Back," I said, grabbing one by the collar, away from the glass. He stared past me, eyes fixed on the fog outside. "I can hear it," he whispered. "It is closer there." I shoved him down and packed gauze into his ears before he could react. At first, nothing. Then he blinked hard and stared around the bridge like he had just woken up from a dream. "What the hell happened?" he asked. "Later," I said. "For now, stay away from the dam outside." Medical corpsmen arrived, picking their way through glass. They started patching cuts. Tape, gauze, pressure bandages. The bridge smelled of blood and wet air. Down on the lower decks, engineers fired off reports. Some systems had to be switched to manual control because signals were glitching. It was not a full failure, but it was close. The captain's voice came over the net, calm but hard. "We are not staying in this hole any longer than we have to. Manual engine controls are authorized if necessary. We will move away from the source of the acoustic event. Navigation, plot us a course that opens distance as fast as possible while avoiding traffic. Combat, keep recording. Medical, start distributing hearing protection shipwide. Use anything that works, that is an order." "Aye, Captain," echoed across multiple stations. People moved. Slower than they should, but they moved. I headed back to the hatch. More sailors were already coming topside, drawn by the sound. Some barefoot, some in t-shirts. I stopped as many as I could, stuff in ears, tape, bandages, rough setups, but better than nothing. Each time, the same pattern. Dull eyes, blank faces, then a snap back to awareness, then terror. The song did not care. It kept pouring in, stronger, steady. By the time I got back out on deck again, my head pounded. My jaw ached from clenching. The fog clung to the ship. The pale shape in the water waited out there somewhere. I could not see it now, but I could feel its location. The song felt stronger from that spot. I finished wrapping a last bandage around a sailor's head. His hand shook as he held it in place. "Do not take that off," I told him. He nodded fast. "No chance, sir." The sound boomed around us. My own body felt heavy. My mind tried to drift. I hung on by my fingernails. We were under attack by something we could not see. Not with missiles. Not with torpedoes. With a song. Something shifted on the ship. At first it was subtle. A new vibration through the deck. A change in the hum of the engines. Then it grew. We were moving. For real this time. Manual control or not, engineering had gotten thrust on the screws. I could feel the ship start to turn. Not fast. Cautious. Enough to change heading without risking collision in the fog. On the main deck, I herded the last few conscious sailors toward the hatch. Inside, I said, "Help medical. Help anyone still staring at nothing. Do not come out here unless someone tells you." "What about you, sir?" one of them asked. His bandage sat crooked, but the plugs seemed to be holding. "I will finish up here," I said. "Then I will join you." They went, more eager now that their heads were clear. No one wanted to be near the rail once they understood what had almost happened. For a moment, I stood alone on that stretch of deck. Fog pressed in. The deck lights glowed in small circles. Everything beyond was blank. The song kept going. Not as loud as the spike after Price fell, but stronger than at the start of the night. It felt aimed at the ship. Then it narrowed. It felt aimed at me. I stepped up to the rail, staying well back from the edge. Enough to see over, not enough to risk slipping. I peered down into the water. The fog shifted with the breeze. For a second, a gap opened. I thought I saw something pale just below the surface. Not a full shape this time, just a hint. An arm, a shoulder, a face turned up. Then the fog closed again. My heart pounded. Every instinct screamed at me to step closer. Lean out. Try to see clearly. The song slid into my thoughts. It softened every hard edge inside me. Promised peace. Promised release from the constant grind. It told me everything would be fine if I just stopped fighting. I dug my nails into my palms. Felt pain. Held that sensation. "No," I said out loud. My own voice sounded small over the hum of the ship. "You already got one. You are not getting me." The deck shook as the engines ramped up. The ship angled into the turn. Water rushed along the hull with more force. I could hear it under the song now. Up on the bridge, officers worked with backup instruments in dead reckoning. With the main displays glitching, they had to fall back on experience and training. I trusted them. Down below, engineers dealt with headaches and nausea as they worked the controls by hand. I heard about it later. Slow response times, heavy wheels, valves that did not want to move. They forced it all into place anyway. The captain stayed on the net, steady voice cutting through the interference. "Speed up. Keep the boat turned away from the bearing of the signal. Open distance. Do not stop." Sonar kept reporting. The signal strength hit a peak, then it held there. I stood at the rail and felt it push on me. In that pressure, I could almost make out shapes, not in the water, in the sound itself. Little breaks and swells that hinted at syllables. My name seemed to hang in it for a moment. Not clear, not spoken, just suggested. Rourke. The hair on the back of my neck tried to stand up. My jaw clenched so hard it hurt. "Shut up," I whispered. My body swayed forward an inch. I forced it back. Muscles shook. I gripped the metal rail so hard my fingers tingled. Under my boots, the vibration changed again. The engines pushed harder. We were committing to the escape now. Behind me, the hatch opened. One of the petty officers stuck his head out. His ears were bandaged up like a bad Halloween costume. "Sir," he yelled to be heard over the hum and the song. "Bridge says manual engines answering. We are turning clear. Signal is still strong but starting to drop now that we are moving." "Good," I said. My throat felt dry. He stepped out beside me for a second, looked toward the white wall, then quickly looked away. "I do not want to be out here," he said. "Feels wrong." "You and me both," I said. "Get back inside, help them keep plugs in everyone. Double-check the ones who are wandering. It wears off. They might want to take them out." "Yes, sir." He ducked back in. The hatch slammed. I stayed. Someone had to watch. It felt stupid to turn my back on that water, on that unseen thing. The song held at that high pitch for a long moment. Then, as the ship's bow swung wider and the speed built, it started to drop. Sonar called it in over the net. Bridge, sonar, signal strength decreasing. Bearing shifting astern. No contact on active. No other sources identified. "Keep recording," the captain replied. "Do not lose that data." People cried quietly in the spaces below as they came out of it. I heard about that later too. Sailors sitting on deck plates, shaking, realizing how close they had come to walking off the ship. Some had already been at the ladder tops, about to step out when someone grabbed them. Out on the deck, the fog started to thin. Not fast, just a little. Enough that I could see waves again in places. Real waves. Not glass. The ocean moved under us in a more familiar way. The song kept going as we pulled away. It grew fainter, but it did not cut off clean. It stretched out, a long wail that sounded almost angry. Or maybe that was just my brain trying to make sense of it. In that last long note, I thought I heard my name again. Softer, less certain. Then it slipped under the rumble of the engines and the rush of water. The hull stopped buzzing. The deck plates calmed. Silence never felt so loud. I stayed at the rail a little longer, watching the water recede into normal sea. The fog broke up into patches. The air eased. Behind me, the ship lived again. Orders, footsteps, medical calls, cleanup teams. I finally stepped back from the edge and went inside. We had broken contact. Whatever had been under us did not follow. Morning took its time, but it came. By the time the sky brightened, the fog had thinned to normal gray haze. Clouds hung low, but you could at least see the horizon. The sea looked like the North Atlantic again. Rough, cold, honest. The song was gone. No trace of it in the hull or in my ears, just a phantom buzz in my memory. Medical had a long list of patients. Cuts from glass, bruises from falls, headaches, nausea, confusion. Everyone who had been near the windows or the outer decks needed checks. A lot of the crew showed mild disorientation. A few had worse. We did a full muster. Took longer than usual. Some sleepers had ended up in the wrong berthing in all the confusion. In the end, we came up one short. Seaman Price. Missing, presumed overboard, presumed dead. No one joked that morning. Not on the mess decks, not in the workspaces. The usual gallows humor stayed down. Everyone had either felt the pull or watched someone else drift toward it. The loss made it real. I sat in the wardroom later, a bandage on my own hand where I had cut it on glass without noticing. The captain sat across from me with a stack of papers and a tired look. Harper was there too, with a strip of tape on his cheek. "All right, Mr. Rourke," the captain said. "Tell it to me from the start." So I did. I ran through the watch, the fog, the first call from Sonar, the sound, the way it felt, my trip to the sonar room, the improvised earplugs, the change in crew behavior, the sailors drifting toward the deck, Price at the rail, the figure in the water, the fall, the failed alarms, the glass shattering, the decision to move. I kept it clean, no embellishment. Just what I had seen and heard. I included the part I hated the most, my hand losing its grip on the strap of Price's floater. The sick, small sound of his body hitting the water. The captain wrote notes and asked short questions. He never once asked if I was sure. He could see in my face there was no doubt in me about what I had experienced. "Did you see anything else in the water?" he asked finally. "Yes, sir," I said. I saw a pale, human-shaped figure close to the hull. It did not move with the waves. It seemed to face the ship. The sound came from that direction. "Visibility?" he asked. "Terrible, sir. Fog, poor light. I could not see details. No clear face. No identifying marks." I paused. "I understand that part will sound questionable on paper." He nodded without emotion. "Describe it anyway. We will note conditions. The board can decide what they think." Cortez came in later with her data. She laid out recordings, spectrogram prints, logs. All of it showed the same thing. A structured acoustic signal in a vocal range. No associated prop noise. No known marine pattern. No known equipment fault. The official term the report used in the end was unidentified underwater acoustic event. That was the Navy way. Clean. Cold. No drama. The report mentioned the probable psychogenic effect on some crew. It listed stress, fatigue, and unusual acoustic stimulation as contributing factors. It recommended future research on potential risks of unknown underwater signals. It did not say something sang to us and tried to drag us into the sea. That stayed between us. Among the crew, the name showed up on its own. Sailors whispered it in passageways and smoke pits in the weeks after. The siren. The singing. The thing under the Harrow. No one called it a ghost to the captain's face. They did not have to. It lived in their voices anyway. As for me, I did my job. I wrote my statements. I stood my watches. I talked to the chaplain once, then pretended I felt better. In truth, I kept seeing Price's face. The lazy grin he always had. The way his eyes had gone flat at the rail. The moment the strap slipped from my hand. They replayed at night in my rack. Over and over. Sometimes I heard the song again in my dreams. Woke up sweating, hand clenched on the small shelf where I had started keeping earplugs after that night. I never slept at sea without them again. Not once. Every time I lay down, I made sure they were within reach. In case I woke up and heard something humming through the hull. Years later, I got a copy of the final incident report. Bound, neat, full of numbers and times. All the language was careful. It described the acoustic event. It described the fog, the mild system disruptions, the injuries from glass, the loss of one sailor overboard during reduced visibility. It did not mention how our minds had been pulled toward the sound. It did not mention how many of us had started walking toward the rails without knowing it. It did not mention the shape I had seen in the water. It did not mention that in the middle of that long rising note, the sound seemed to form my name. Those parts stayed out of the official record. They stayed in my head instead. So that's the end of our video. If you made it this far, make sure to hit like and subscribe. It really helps the channel and it's free. And if you want more terrifying encounters like this one, check out the other videos on screen right now. Thanks for watching and stay safe out there. See you soon.